Good rising, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys from California. Before I begin and give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, acknowledgement to the earthly mother, who is wisdom, who is the Holy Spirit, acknowledge Yahweh Shai. I pray the Most High blesses this lesson this evening, gives more knowledge and understanding of the events of the past in order to understand the events that are currently happening on the earth. So we get a much better understanding of the things that are soon to come on the earth. Brethren, I've been getting a couple of emails of people giving their breakdowns of when the new year is. And I appreciate the emails and I appreciate your breakdowns and everything else. But like I said before, this is when I'm going to observe the new year on March 20th. Now, if you have something that shows you to do something different, by all means, go ahead and do that. This is the way I've been doing the new year for myself and my family and people around me for the last few years. The Most High knows that we are trying our best to follow Him. And if you don't get everything right in this polluted system that has been set up to keep us off from the Most High, I think He understands. And this is why, with certain subjects, when we talk about, people seem to have their own opinions and whatever else. And it's not, to me, it's not worth arguing with my brethren over this. If you think it's a different time, go right ahead and do that. But this is when I'm going to observe the Most High's, days. And when He gets here, He can go right ahead and correct me. I'm open to correction. Okay. But it hasn't changed anything as far as the Most High using me to bring forth his words in this time. Some people, that's what happens when you kind of get stuck in certain levels. Everyone wants to argue about Sabbath days. We don't know for sure. Everything is, could they even be manipulating the time of the, equal day, night, equal night, equal day? Of course they can. That's what they've been sitting here to do, is to manipulate absolutely everything. That's been exactly what they've been doing this entire time. Now the Most High has given us some knowledge. We must understand that even the books that we're getting some information. But ultimately, we have to wait for the Most High to come and set up everything for us. We're living in a polluted world, a polluted system that has always been set up against our people. The other nations have no need to worry about feast days. That's why they can follow whenever it is that they set their things up. They have their directives. Their directives they get from the priests of Mahan. And all of their directives are pretty much set up to keep us away from our power. I know I'm waiting for my priests to be set back up. I'm waiting for my priests to be set back up in order to give us, for them to connect with the Most High, in order for them to give us our direction. But I appreciate people, sending me their emails and sending me their information about when they're going to do their feast days. But trust me, even when you're reading them, some of the books of Enoch, you're reading some of the other books, you don't think they've tampered with those as well? Of course they have. They've tampered with absolutely everything. I love the fact that we're searching for that truth, and we're searching, to try to get as close to what the Most High wants as possible. But it's been very difficult here in this society, in this whole world. Why do you think it was so important for them to kill, our older people when they got here, in order to disconnect us from the Most High? Because our older population was the one that was transferring knowledge to the younger population. just so when we do begin to wake up here at the end, it's still very difficult for us to get all this information back. So that's why I don't get into arguments about that. Some people think that, what, that's going to be their ticket to getting in, making sure you have the feast days exactly correct. We weren't following the feast days. We weren't following the right calendar when we were following the ways of man, or the vast majority of our lives, were we? No, we were not. We were doing Christmas, most of us. We were doing Thanksgiving. We were eating pork. We were doing all the things that the Gentiles do. But the Most High didn't pull us out because we're so righteous. The Most High pulled us out because he chose us, and that's it. We didn't do anything special. The Most High just had us marked to be awakened at this time. So that's why, yes, I try my best to do what the Most High wants, but I fail. We all fail. No one is perfect. I just thank the Most High that he chose me and he awakened me at this time to be used by the Father. When the Most High it sets us up in our lands, gives us our priests back, opens our eyes and gives us direction, I said that's what we need. So that's why I never tell people, hey, I know everything, because I don't. So that's why I always tell people, do your own research. Most High uses me to give you some information, but you also need to do your own research. I gave you the date that I'm using for the new year. If you don't agree, go use your own. Do your research and use your own. But see, like, that's what you get and stuck with a lot of these other people and these groups. It's like the way I said it, and that's it. And this is the way it's going to be, and that's it. And I don't want to be responsible for leading someone astray by trying to be like that. The Most High is going to take care of that very soon. That's why I depend on the Most High to give me direction and tell me when to speak and when to keep my mouth shut. Because the more I learn, the more I realize I didn't know anything. And even before, when we got to this truth, we thought we knew a lot. And then the Most High just opened our eyes to even more information. And I'm sure he's going to give us even more. But just think of all the information that we've been getting for the last few months. We didn't know about a lot of this stuff before. Some people have studied and given us even more information in the comment section and sent things to us. It's just absolutely amazing. So I was just going to let you guys know, as far as, hey, if you have another calendar or you have something else that you want to follow, by all means, go right ahead. But just remember, we didn't do anything to deserve to be awakened right now. So to make it seem as if sometimes that if we don't follow things to the T, that Most High is not going to use us. I mean, or he's not calling us or whatever else. I said that's rather naive as well, because that would mean that you would have to have been doing the right things ever since you were young, ever since you were born. And most of us are not born into those kinds of situations. So sometimes, I just trust in the Most High, and I just trust in what he tells me. And that's it. I can't earn my way. I'm just telling you from my personal, experience. I can't earn my way into heaven. If I had the correct dates and the correct time for the Sabbath and the correct this, and I did everything perfectly, that would be impossible. So I put my faith in the Most High, and I put my faith in that he will guide me to what it is that he wants me to do. And then at the end, I said, when I pass away and I'm standing in front of the Most High, it's all him. I do the best that I can, the best of my ability with what he blesses me with. But like I said, I'm not a perfect person. I'm not a perfect man. I don't sit here and try to make it sound like I am. I said, it's all been done by the grace of the Most High. Everything that I do is by the grace of the Most High. But now let's talk about what we're really getting here for. Okay. Um, how the Gentiles right now, what they've done is, if you imagine a cake, it's got this beautiful frosting on top of the cake. And the Gentiles, what they do with that cake is, all they do is they just put their one finger out, and then they just barely scratch the surface, get a little bit of that whipping cream, get a little bit of that cream, and to just eat it, and then that's it. And then walk away. When you're talking to Gentiles, and now you understand, like, they have no depth. They don't dig into that cake. They don't dig in and get that, all that the cake that's down low. They don't get that. All they do is get a little bit of the top, a little bit of the frosting, and that's it. They don't get that knife and cut into it and really go deep into the cake and really, really enjoy it. And I was looking at the news, and as you look at what's been going on, people don't see that history repeats itself. There's nothing new under the sun. When you understand that, then you got to learn to look back at your history a little bit in order to see what the future holds. It's no coincidence that I saw a comment. I don't have it around me right now, but it was talking about how Tiger and Kobe had their accidents pretty close to the same area. I don't know if he said it was like the 33rd Congressional District in California, something like that. You might want to take a look back at the comment. Okay? But it's no coincidence. Kobe had his accident. Tiger had his accident pretty, close to the same area. We're over here in California. Okay? The Most High is just giving signs. And you got to think back to around the time last year when Kobe actually had his accident. And what they were doing as far as Trump and them, with what they were doing as far as the COVID. They weren't testing. What did Trump like to say? If you don't test, you can't find anything. The more you test, the more things you're going to find. So they chose pretty much to not test. Remember, they said, like, oh, there was like 12, 15 people, and once those 15 people are good, COVID's going to go away. That's what they did last year. Just ignored it and just said, hey, everything's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. So when you refuse to test, you don't find anything, right? Well, now, today, I heard them talking about some new variants. One in New York and one in California. And they're both seem to be growing right now. But they need to do the sequencing, right? Well, for some reason, our country is like one of the lowest, has been one of the lowest in sequencing for a very long time, for months and months and months. And you kind of think back, last year, they refused to do regular COVID tests, right? This year, they're one of the lowest in sequencing. Why is that? Because they want to make it seem as if, hey, this morning they said they only found 1,900 variants. So that's all they found. So that's all the cases you guys think there are? Because there's only 1,900? Of course not. But they're following the same patterns. If we don't test, we don't find anything. Then we can paint this rosy picture for everybody. Like, yeah, I just heard people on the news, Sanjay Gupta. Well, yeah, there's all these variants, but, the vaccines will be fine. Vaccines will be fine. And the lady was like, oh, there's all this stuff going on with the variants. He's like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's not very many cases. But see, they're doing exactly the same thing. They're not testing. They do it differently. They don't check for the variants. So they can say things like, oh, there's only 1,900 cases right now. Just like last year, Trump could say, oh, there's only 15 people, and as soon as you take care of those, no problem. So you got accidents, 2 high-profile athletes. You got last year, no testing. You got this year, no testing. Very little to no testing. So it seems to be following a pattern, right? Now we're getting close to March. Okay? All of a sudden, you got these new variants that are going to seem to be causing issues with the body's ability to fight off infection. And then also probably is going to be affecting the vaccines, which we already know. We already know. So now we're getting close to our new year. Next week, we move into March already. And I was listening to a doctor this morning talking about, well, the variants, they usually show up between 4, 6, and 8 weeks once they start, going through and going through the air to the population. He said, so I want to see where we're at the start of March, the middle of March. That's what the doctor was saying. Now, see, if you think back to Exodus, you think back to the story or the movie we used to watch of the 10 Commandments, when the Pharaoh went out to bless the waters and Moses showed up to bring that plague to the waters. Kind of think of it like now, like, springtime, New Year. Pharaoh wants to bless the waters, bless that new giving life. That's what they're trying to do right now, talking about how, we need to open up these schools. They're opening up restaurants here in California like next week for some indoor dining. They've opened up churches. It's like Pharaoh wanting to bless the waters and make it seem as if things are getting back to normal. And then Moses come in there and just jack up the party. Moses just comes in and, hey, they ready to get their groove on. And Moses shows up. He's like, no. We're gonna wreck shop right here. We're gonna destroy this party right now. You guys think you're gonna bless the waters and enjoy yourselves? That's not gonna happen. Hence why we've always been lied to about absolutely everything. It's always been to keep us from our Father. And they try to make us feel, inadequate. They try to make us feel as if we're not worthy to follow the Most High because we can't do things perfectly. We don't know our, new year exactly. So therefore it makes us feel kind of, makes us feel bad because we can't do things the way the Most High wants us to do it. We kind of feel like children that aren't doing things right. But the Most High knows this. The Most High knows that if we were given the opportunity and the correct guidance, that now with our renewed hearts, we would do our best to follow the ways of the Most High. But that's all part of it, making us feel as if we are inadequate children. We are adequate, not because of anything that we've done, but we are adequate because the Most High chose us out of the billions of people in the world. So that's why we got to put our faith in the Most High and what He's done for us and continues to do for us, as opposed to us thinking we got to do everything perfect in order for the Most High to love us. He loved us before, when we were in the world and we were dirty and nasty and following the ways of the world. The Most High called us out of the world, not because of anything we've done, but because He loves us. And now we're working together. We're praying to the Most High. We're trying to do our best. And the Most High knows that. So we are the ones that are now showing up and destroying their party. They're trying to bless the waters and get back to normal life. And we're the ones that have shown up to the party to destroy their fun time. And now that we're moving into our new year, we know that, we're moving into the great tribulation of the Gentiles. We just thank the Most High that He's awakened us in these times and He's using us to do His will. So now you look at them and you look at how all the Gentiles, it's always a shallow little itty bitty piece off the top of the cake. They've done that with our history. They did that as soon as they got here. Anything before Columbus, they don't accept. Like they're in that kind of a position. Now that we're figuring out about England and Ireland, that they weren't the first inhabitants. Spain, they're not the first inhabitants. They're not the original people. Rome, they're not the original people. See, they've only given us, they just showed up on their history just a little bit off the top. We started digging into that cake and realizing there's a whole lot more going on here than meets the eye. Giving everybody their bywords, their names, their languages, making it seem as if English and Spanish and French have all been the languages that have always been here. Again, a little bit off the cake, that's it. They're not talking about the original languages that were there before. They're not talking about the original history that was there before. Well, they do. They put it in movies, they put it in stories, but that's our history. So now when you look at the TV and it's just a little bit off the cake, when they're talking about what's really going on with these variants and with, the plague and with all the other things, with the big, huge storm in Texas, making it seem as if, that was just, hey, we don't know, it just kind of happened. No, it didn't just happen. That was the Most High. And now it's causing way more problems. The problems are going to linger for a very long time. That's all the Most High. They're never going to give praise. They're never going to give acknowledgement to the Most High, because all they do is scrape off the top, get that little bit of cream, and that's it. See, the Most High is much deeper than that. The Most High is down deep in that cake, and you got to dig in there in order to find the Most High. And they refuse to do that. All they're going to do is scrape off the top and then tell you that that's all that there is. But we know better. That's why we understand when it says study to show thyself approved. These Christians, Catholics, all these different denominations, they don't study to show themselves approved. They don't dig into that cake. All they do is just give you a little bit off the top, and that's it. And now it's easy to figure them out. It's easy to see, how superficial they are. All praise is to the Most High, Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who is wisdom? Who is the Holy Spirit? Acknowledge Yahushai. Shalom.